This is Jennifer YAY Hammond, and I'm so excited. I have Debbie Parker Oliver here, and we're going to talk about a serious subject. And I know this is one of those ones that not always do we want to talk about it, but strategies to create a temporary hospital room in your home, but with warmth, style, and function. So welcome to the show, Debbie.
Hi, thank you so much. Yeah, what an interesting something somebody doesn't think about until they have to do it. That's right.
And you don't want it to be something that somebody doesn't feel homey or warm. I mean, hospitals are really cold, and I've had to warm up a few hospital rooms for family members before. But when you have to do it at your home, it can also feel very sterile and not very warm or homey. So let's talk strategies.
Well, I was lucky because I had done hospice as a social worker for a long time. So
Wow.
when my husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer and committed to dying at home, I had seen good, bad, and ugly from how lots of other people had done it and kind of learned from that. And so as he slowly declined and we changed our home into a hospital, I was able to capture all of those pearls of wisdom. It's one thing to have your home as your castle and it feels safe and it's the place you go to relax. And then when it becomes the focus of somebody who is really ill, you bring in lots of foreign objects to make it into a hospital in a real functional way, and it cannot feel like home at that point.
Yeah.
So especially it's interesting because people always think about, well, if I need to bring a hospital bed in here, then I'm going to put it in the bedroom. And we always at hospice kind of advise people to instead put it in the living room so that everyone could gather around. And then lo and behold, it was my turn. And where did I put it? I put it in the bedroom. And that was primarily because he only slept in it twice because he needed to sit elevated. So he primarily lived in his chair. But when I knew the bed was coming, we had to rearrange. We had a smaller house, and so size of your home makes a big difference. And here comes this big giant bed, and I had a king size bed. Now we have a little hospital bed. But one of the things I did that was really important and valuable for him was I made him a special quilt. I'm a quilter. And so putting that quilt, he wanted something bright and cheery and actually with Mexican hot peppers and that kind of stuff on it. And so when I did that, it really didn't look like a hospital bed. And I think that's important. The same with pillowcases. We didn't use sheets. I made some special bright, cheery print pillowcases instead of white, sterile kinds of things. People's world shrinks. And so as you become ill, you control less and less. And so the space around you becomes really important. We had this lounge chair that we put, and we turned it around so the back faced the room, totally against any interior design principle. And he looked out the window because we had a bird feeder out there.
Oh, nice.
And so that was like his favorite place, in front of the window with a bird feeder. And so thinking about your outside space, we were luckily on a ground floor so that we could do that. And then you have like this commode, a bedside commode that comes into your house, right? I mean, it's a very practical thing. People have to have something to go in when they can't. So what do you do to decorate a bedside commode? Especially because you got people coming in your house. You got to kind of lose the idea that people are coming into your home. My home is not clean. It's not orderly. It doesn't look nice. All that has to go out the window. I used to tell that to my patients, and I didn't really appreciate how hard that is. It's very hard.
Yeah.
But again, I had a big stuffed pillow that I had made, and I just sat it right on the commode, shut the lid and put it on there. And it's like, okay, this is going to become part of the furniture in the house. And people sat on it because we had to get rid of some things. And so, okay, there we go. So commodes are popular, things that have to come in, hospital beds have to come in, walkers. Lots of people, even not seriously ill, need walkers, and your home is not usually equipped to handle that either. Even the doorways are not always big enough. The floor surfaces, carpets, or wood floor, luckily the new wood floors, that all makes it so much easier. But what do you do with this? They're not very attractive kind of thing, again, that has to go in your house. So we managed to put it around something else so that it kind of didn't stand out in the middle of the room. Next to his favorite chair, it went around the end table. So the end table fit inside it, and it kind of disguised it a little bit. IV poles, because he would get IVs. And so there you go. You're in your living room, big old IV pole. My daughter, we made stickers and put on the IV bags so they didn't look so nasty, instead of the big poison stickers that sometimes they put on there. Those are some of the few kinds of things, I think, as much as you can do to make the environment fun in the
I
midst of
agree.
being functional.
I think that, thank you so much for sharing those, because I think it's so important to figure out ways to make it fun. And I love the stickers and the fact that, again, you put a cushion on the commode and you just get people to sit on it, and not, and I think that's also part of it. When you get sick, I think just like your home, you feel like you've lost so much because now you physically can't do what you used to. And if you're the caretaker, again, things that you used to be able to do and they were so easy, it's not the same solution. So now you've got to be creative. And this is, again, I think one of the most important times to just figure out a way to make it fun. And I know that just sounds awful, but even I've had quite a few friends as well as family members that I've lost, and when they were sick, the best thing we could do is go through stories and find ways to just find the fun in the day, even though it was weird or whatever. Again, you've got those bags, you've got so many other things. And part of that also, I'm curious on your take on, so what about smells? And so you talked a lot about sight, like the things that we see, but also
Yeah.
I think when you go through the senses, the smells, also anything you can do. I know, like, we used a lot of essential oils and candles and stuff. What about you guys? What did you do about
Essential oils were amazing. The other thing is that my husband always liked the aroma of coffee, even when he was even nauseated. And so we would just brew lots and lots of coffee, and have that smell, throughout the house. Essential oils are actually just amazing and have that healing feel about them as well, which is really important. And we don't think about then what happens when we turn our house back into a house again. So my husband died in my living room in one of our chairs. I had two chairs that were identical, and my son-in-law was actually very smart. As they came and got my husband's body, I was in the other room, and my son-in-law was there helping all of that. And he rearranged the whole living room and put it back. And I don't know which chair it was. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that, because I think that would have been hard. And I came back in and it looked even different than it did before. And so little things can make such a big difference in how you go on and live the rest of your life. Because to this day, I don't know which chair it was. And when I feel good, I like to imagine it was this chair. And when I'm not, I'm like, it was probably the other one.
That's perfect. And also, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think that, again, we're trying to find ways to make it a lot easier to confront something that we all, death is, we're all going to have it as part of our lives and part of this journey. But I think that anytime we can make it, I was thinking about smells when you just said essential oils again, and the coffee. It made me think, the other thing is, even as real estate agents, a lot of times we bake bread or we bake cookies, and
Cookies.
that's anything that, again, brings those happy thoughts. If it was cookies, or you love fresh baked muffins, or whatever it is, make sure that you do those kind of things when you're making the house, into a hospital, but into a home that
And
people.
flowers, fresh cut flowers. I loved it when people would come in to visit and they bring fresh cut flowers, because that again is that natural smell. And not only did it make it attractive, but it helped. And we were fortunate, we didn't have a lot of, depending on diseases, you can have a lot or not. And we were lucky we didn't have some terrible things. Sometimes people have to resort to more dramatic kinds of things. Yeah, isn't it interesting? We go in, we buy a new house, that's one of the old great tricks. And then when we change and transition, we still like to pay attention to those same things.
Well, and it's interesting because I've been in real estate now 27 plus years, and I watch so many people transition in their different times of your life. You want different things. And I've also, I love, I remember moving into a place that had a 3-story walk up and you thought, oh, it's no big deal until the day that, unfortunately you twist your ankle or something happens. And then you're like, oh, that 3-story walk up is not just extra exercise. It's impossible. Or it's, ridiculously hard. And I think the same thing is thinking ahead when you have a house, and not to be doom and gloom, but just making sure that you have options open, just like you said about hallways. Now when I look at houses, I mean, getting into a bathroom, if you have a walker, I mean, there are a lot
very difficult
into, yeah.
And doorways, wheelchairs don't fit through traditional doorways. Now, luckily, we have a lot of open floor plans these days, and that helps at least in the living space, because when you had lots of hallways and doors, that was a very difficult. But yeah, traditional wheelchair won't fit through a traditional hallway. We had just moved into senior housing, which helped us. We didn't know we would need it so soon, but that made a huge difference with no stairs and those broader doorways and better flooring. Carpet and wheelchairs don't work real well together either, as much as we love carpet. So,
and rugs
rugs are a disaster. Absolutely.
And lighting is also, we talked about the senses, of seeing, but also lighting, and you talked about, making sure that, like when he could look outside. I think natural light is really important. But if you don't have natural light, really paying attention to how much light you can have when you want it, but also being able to block it out. If he's living and sleeping in the living room, making sure that you can also shut that light out if he does want to be able to sleep too. So all of that stuff to think through is so important. I hate to say if you have to create a hospital type environment at home, but I'm so grateful. Thank you for sharing all that. I want people to know more about your website and your social media and what you're doing in life too. Would you share?
Yeah, I have written a book about my experience, Legacies from the Living Room, the Love Grief Equation. And I have a website, legacesfromthelivingroom.com, easy to remember. And I'm a research professor. So I used to do hospice, and then I do research in hospice care now. And then I lived it. And so now I have a passion for helping other people get through it and do that in a better way. And certainly setting up your environment lowers your stress and is an important piece of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And as you know, I'm going to ask you if you will lift your voice and say yay with me as we go off the air. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you could just help people understand the principles, then they could make better decisions in real estate. We started getting an audience. And so with the radio show, I actually get to help many, many people.
Hi, I'm Jack Canfield. You may know me as the co-author of the Chimpanzees for the Soul series. And if you want more help in getting from where you are to where you want to be, I want to encourage you to listen to the Jennifer Hammond Show